Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the Empower Journal, a space to create the life you want to live. Join me on episode 21, Breaking the Mirror, exclusively for you in Amazon Music and Spotify. So, here is the question for the episode from Sarah Anand. Hey Dave, in today's world, it's considered weird or even sin to love yourself openly and may be mistaken for narcissism. But I personally feel it's just an exhibit of high self esteem. How do you tell the difference between self love and just being selfish? These days, I often see people setting boundaries and climbing their peace, which is good. But what it goes from preserving oneself to hurting over people by our demands? When does self-esteem and love for oneself breach the dangerous line into narcissism? And how do I see that? Hey, Sarah, such a serious and deep thought question, long-winded. Before I start the episode, I want to ask and tell you two things, Sarah. I am really impressed with your thought process, so I want to know more about you. So please do write to me about you. And second thing is, I'm going to be sharing my experience about self-love versus narcissism, honestly. So if my answer in case disappoints you, my sincere apologies. But we can always stay in touch and I'm open to feedbacks. So let's get to the show. Once again, welcome back to the Empower Journal. You're listening to episode 21, Breaking the Mirror podcast. And today we're going to talk about self-care versus narcissism and also answer Sarah's question. First of all, loving yourself is not being selfish. It's self-love. It's about recognizing yourself and acknowledging them at every stage. And it's commonly said that you cannot love someone else until you learn to love yourself, right? If I have to say you is where your world begins. But it should not be where it ends, because that's where narcissism begins. To make it simple, selfishness. Before I answer the difference and before answering Sarah's question, let me share an outrageous fact about self-care today. Because today self-care is a big business. If I have to say that since 2014, self-care related searches have skyrocketed. Let alone that according to retail marketing publication, believe it or not, the Indian self-care market has grown from 10 billion in 2014 to over 450 billion in 2020. 38% of Indians reported actively practicing self-care in metro cities. If I have to mention, 1 in 8 people have increased their self-care spending in the past year. For me, this trend is far from surprising because if you look around, like I said, things aren't exactly going well. Salaries are low, work weeks are pushing past 60 hours, sometimes even 80 hours a week. Student debts is at high record and most families are getting priced out in terms of houses and lifestyle. Is it any wonder that people are seeking out self-care as a way to cope with their problems? But it's become such a massive industry that just about anything counts as self-care today. And most of it are ridiculously expensive and it's overhyped with just 3 words. Treat yourself. And also to top it off, the companies have transformed terms like wellness and mindfulness into slogans to sell us billions of crap that we don't need actually. To know more about it, please do refer the popular and famous self-care remedies that is available online. Now coming back to the question. I want you to refer to the self-care advice that you find online. Emotionally, you've been told to speak your truth, speak your mind and set boundaries, keep it real, be authentic and on the face value. This advice might be helpful for some and for some time. Especially for those that are passive, often get taken advantage of. You get it? But if you take this advice blindly and out of context, it can lead to some negative consequences. To explain, once I asked a group of 4 people, would you rather be always right or would you rather have friends? They answered angrily. I'll have to mention this. I want to have friends who understand that I'm right. I realized that relationship had no future. It's exactly this. If you look at what makes someone a narcissist, you'll find these things as common. An inflated sense of importance, a deep need of attention always, and most importantly, zero empathy for others. Speaking out and being real are not necessary virtues. Sometimes voicing our thoughts and feelings shuts down the line of communication. In fact, sometimes it might shame another person. When we keep it real without kindness, that's how it gets to. And it can unnecessarily hurt people who are very close to us. And when we also set these unrealistic boundaries, it can shut ourselves off from the rest of the world. You need to understand self-care today has been twisted into endless pursuit of comfort and self-gratification, but even the earliest writings on self-care show that the best way to find contentment is to stop focusing on yourself and to start thinking about how you can help other people. That's what I'm getting to. We all deserve to be working towards our physical, emotional, and mental needs. There is no denial about it. But at the same time, it's not about taking care of only your needs above everybody else's. So you need to realize this: without empathy and people engagement, even the best self-care practices will be ineffective. If you go ask 10 different people what is their practice on self-care, you would probably get 10 different answers. Some people take daily walks, some do this yoga, some just regenerate and recharge at the end of the long day. Whatever works for one person might not work for another. And I'm not here to police your routines or make you feel guilty about how you take care of yourself. If you enjoy expensive facials and wellness retreats, more power to you. I encourage you to keep an open minded about these things. But to practice self-care, you don't need an open wallet, is what my point is. As long as you can love yourself and also others without being selfish, my dear friend, you are on the right lane. So find a happy medium, and it's okay to love yourself, but don't let it turn into an obsession. So now let's find out how to nurture self-love without allowing it to evolve as narcissism. With the introduction of social media, it is easier to spot narcissists because they showcase themselves every day. If I had to remind you, you know that girl or guy who posts multiple selfies a day and constantly changing their profiles, right? They want people to see them, celebrate them. The likes and comments actually give them the sense of achievement. Outlets such as Insta and Facebook had made it alarmingly normal to constantly demand attention from people. And this is how we are confusing self-love with narcissism in this generation. Few things, these are from my personal experience, definitely not from the book, but I think I should share this with you. I would suggest don't worry too much about the image that you put out and how people perceive you. Instead, worry about how to perceive yourself. And the next thing would be, I've seen a lot of people today comparing their success with others. I would suggest definitely to create your own personal goals to work on, because very few people have been able to handle their success. They had planned and worked really hard to get where they are. So you will reach that same level of prestige only if you are willing to put in the work. And the most important last thing is, you can never improve your self-confidence by convincing yourself that you are better than everyone else. The truth is, you don't have much to offer other than your arrogance. Instead, work on your skills and develop. You will be for sure celebrated for your accomplishments and of course develop confidence. What if I tell you, true self-care needs only efforts and not money? Because sleeping well, eating healthy, working out, personal hygiene, and making sure your screen time is on check, and keeping your space clutter-free, and avoiding harmful people and things, and spending quality time with loved ones doesn't cost you money. So all the trendy, expensive indulgences can be nice in moderation if they help you relax, but definitely shouldn't be the mainstay of your self-care. Taken to an extreme, they can become opposite of self-care because they'll take away the time and money you should be spending on other important health habits and lead to overspending, which can be a source of stress. If you see that loving yourself is exhibiting narcissistic behaviors, kindly reevaluate your purpose as to why you began loving yourself to start with. Did you begin loving yourself to be a better person and build confidence? Or you simply loving yourself because you know no one on the planet can outshine you? Think about it and do let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. Download Amazon Music or Spotify. Don't miss out to subscribe the Empower Journal. And I'll catch up with you soon again. Nandri!